Hi there, my name's Chris. I am a motorcycle enthusiast. I've been a motorcycle owner for 35 years, all exclusively Harley-Davidsons, and I really enjoy working on my own stuff. I go to the dealer when I have a warranty issue or when there's a more complex procedure, but I love doing my own maintenance so I can learn about my machine. So what we're going to do today on my 2019 Ultra is I'm going to be doing the first 1,000-mile service. So to make it easier to show everybody, I have the things that I need all laid out in front of me. My owner's manual, because I don't want to miss a step. There is a proper way to change your oil, believe it or not, and there's a proper way to check your oil level. And a lot of people don't have a clear idea of how to properly check your oil level, as simple as it may sound. So make sure you have your owner's manual. I got some cleaner in case I have any oil drips, my drain pan, some rags. The cool thing right now is Harley offers 3 different types of oil that you can use in your engine. The conventional 360. There's a new 15W50, a synthetic and conventional blend of oil. And then there's also the full synthetic, the SYN 3. The cool thing about the SYN 3 is you can have this one oil and use it in your engine, your primary, and your transmission. So as somebody that does their own oil changes, all you need is to have one type of oil on your shelf, and you'll have enough oil then to do any cavity in your bike. So I have my other stuff laid out here. When you change your, when you drain the oil plug out, you're going to change it and put on a new O-ring. I got my filter laid out. My wrench to take my oil filter off. This is a Harley-Davidson tool you can get at the dealership. 5/8 socket, ratchet. A torque wrench for putting that drain plug back in. I'll talk more about the proper torque when I go to do that. My funnel for adding oil. And lastly, this is a really cool tool I found at Napa. Part number 5911. It's a very strong magnet, so once you crack your drain plug loose, you're going to put that on the drain plug and you're going to turn off your plug so when the oil comes out, you're not getting hot oil on your hand. I also use a bike lift. Like I said, I've been doing this as a hobby for 35 years. I like having my own lift to get the bike up off the ground. But everything we're going to do today, you can also do with the bike on the ground on the Jiffy stand. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to crack the oil drain plug loose. Now, when you look under your engine and your drain plug, you're going to see a lot of different plugs. Refer to your owner's manual to make sure that you are pulling the correct plug to drain your engine oil. And that's the one on the bottom of the oil pan, and the plug is facing towards the front of the bike. All right, so now we're ready to pull our drain plug out. But again, following the owner's manual, the very first step in changing your oil is getting the bike at operating temperature. So I took it for just a couple mile ride around the block here. I got the oil nice and hot. So remember that when you're going to be cracking your oil plug out, you're dealing with very hot oil, which is why this tool comes in handy. So I've got a 5/8 short socket. I'm going to crack that oil drain plug loose. And I'm going to loosen it a few turns with my fingers. And right before it's going to come off, I'm going to put on my tool over the head of that drain plug. And now I can move my hand away. So when I take my drain plug out, the drain plug sticks to the tool, and I've got a nice flow of oil coming out. Okay, so the oil is draining from the drain pan. I'm going to move on the same side of the bike over using my oil filter wrench. I'm going to pull off my oil filter, and again, remember, this is quite warm. I did put another oil pan also under the oil filter area. So now once I get it nice and loose, I can grab it with my hand and wiggle the oil filter out. I'm going to inspect my oil filter mount to make sure that the rubber gasket from the old filter didn't stick to it. And I'm going to wipe off the surface of the oil filter mount where the gasket would normally sit to make sure it's nice and smooth and there's no imperfections. Now I'm going to lubricate the lip of this new gasket with a little bit of fresh oil. And you're lubricating that gasket so it doesn't stick to that surface. It gives a nice tight seal. Just a light coating of oil is all you need. So I'm going to tighten this by hand till the gasket just touches. Then with my wrench, I'm going to go back over to filter, and I'm going to turn it 3/4 of a turn. And now the oil filter is all set. Okay, so what works really good, the process I've followed for quite some time now, you're draining your oil from the drain plug, changing your oil filter, and now when you come over here to your filler plug, when you crack this open, that allows the oil to come out even faster. So I like doing this last so I don't get an initial rush of hot oil coming out in the beginning. So the last thing I do is I take out my drain plug my filler cap. I'll wipe the dipstick off.
Okay.
So while the oil pan is continuing to drain, now's a good time to change your O-ring on your drain plug. I'm going to pull my plug off. I'm going to look at the magnet to make sure there's no debris. This is nice and clean. I'm going to use a small little screwdriver and I'm going to take off the old O-ring. Once the O-ring is off, I'm going to get this plug nice and clean. And I'm going to slide on my new O-ring. And it sits very nice at the bottom of the threaded area. There's a smooth area for the O-ring to sit. And now you're ready to install this back in the drain pan as long as all the oil has already been drained. Looking at my drain plug hole, I can see I'm down to just a slight drip every 30 seconds. So I'm going to grab my drain plug now with the new O-ring. Start tightening it into the hole on the drain plug without dropping it in the pan of oil. All right, so my drain plug has started to go in. Wipe off any excess oil. I'm going to grab my ratchet again and I'm just going to snug it. Very light snug. Get my torque wrench. And the setting according to the owner's manual is 14 to 21 foot-pounds. So I've got my torque wrench set at 18. The reason this is so important is the oil drain pan is made of aluminum. The oil drain plug is steel. 14 foot-pounds of torque is not very tight. So I've seen over the years a lot of my buddies, they don't use a torque wrench and they go to tighten down that drain plug and they think tighter is better. And they strip the hole in the oil pan. The only way to repair that is to pull the oil pan off and replace it, or pull the oil pan off and get a helicoil at a machine shop. Both are not cheap fixes. So you want to make sure that you're using a torque wrench when you tighten up that nut. My plug is all set. I can go to the other side of the bike and start filling my oil. So we have everything buttoned up on the left side of the bike. Drain plug is torqued properly. We have a new O-ring on the drain plug. I've got my oil filter installed, 3/4 of a turn past contact. And now I'm going to be adding my initial oil fill. Again, look in your owner's manual. And for this bike, my initial fill is 4 quarts of oil. So my dipstick filler area has been removed. So I got my funnel and my drill and my fill area. And I'm going to be using the new SYN Blend 15W50. I'm going to give this a try this time around. Again, my initial fill, according to my owner's manual, is 4 quarts. So here goes number 1. Okay, so again, referring to the owner's manual, we're doing a oil level hot check. So the bike is at operating temperature, and as the process for this model has indicated, I've had the bike on the Jiffy stand idling for 2 minutes. Once I turn the bike off, I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, and I'm going to be checking my dipstick for the proper level. But also notice the writing on the dipstick. The top indicator is for when the bike is on the Jiffy stand. The bottom indicator is then when the bike is straight upright, such as a trike. The trike doesn't lean, so the trike is going to use the bottom indicator. If your bike has a jiffy stand, you're going to use the top indicator. So now with my initial add of oil, I've got a clean dipstick. So you can clearly see the fluid is up to the bottom of the checkered area on the dipstick, which indicates add. My final oil level, I'm going to be somewhere in this checkered area on the top indicator. So I'm going to start out by adding 1/2 quart. So SYN Blend is what we did for the engine oil. I'm going to add 1/2 quart to start, and then double check my oil level. Let the funnel drain. Put a cap on the can in case I kick it over. Dry off my dipstick. Pull my funnel out, and now I'll take another reading with my dipstick. I'm a couple lines up, so I'm going to add a little bit more oil. And I'm about 60–70% up on the line. As long as you're anywhere in this checkered area, you're good. A little less oil is better than more oil. So I'm happy with where it is on the mark. Probably after a few hundred miles, I'm going to double check my oil level and add if I need to at that time. If you are not confident about changing your own oil, I know it sounds like a simple procedure, but as you saw me indicate and demonstrate, a torque wrench is essential, the proper O-rings are essential, the proper tools, the area to do this, and the confidence that you can do it yourself. I get a great joy doing my own maintenance, but not everybody may want to. So there you have it. We have our oil changed, our oil and filter. So while changing your oil may sound like a simple procedure, I think you saw by what we did here, you do need some special tools. You need a torque wrench so you don't strip out your drain plug. The proper genuine P&A, the little tools that make it easier to do. But if you don't feel confident, your dealer is there for you. Your authorized Harley-Davidson dealership where you bought your bike, they would like to help you keep your bike on the road using all Harley genuine parts and accessories and fluids. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. What we're going to do next is a primary fluid change, and a transmission fluid change. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you for the next episode.